All right, now we have concluded the talent round. What did you guys think about it?
Some amazing talent that we're fostering in this community, right? So this, I already know, is going to be a really tight competition, but we've had enough of the talent. We're ready to move on to the next round. Our next round will consist of each of the participants answering their second and final question of the night. Now let's bring out the male contestants.
Aaron. All right, first we have Aaron. Aaron, sorry. You know, it's like the meme, you know, Aaron, you've seen it? Yeah, there we go. All right, your last and final question for tonight is, how do you handle disappointment?
Thank you for the question. The first quote that comes to my mind is, rejection is redirection. So what do I mean by that? I think it's just God's way of saying, I have something better in store for you, or I have something better planned for you. So as difficult as it may seem in times of disappointment, it's especially important to be patient, to have faith, and to trust in God's plan, and to pray that God's perfect will be done, not mine. That's how I handle disappointment. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right, our next contestant is Mark Edadi. Yeah, Mark! All right, Mark, your question is, why did you choose the career or path that you're working in or working towards?
Thanks for the question. I hope to pursue a career in public policy. Ideally, I would like to go to law school and eventually be a legal counsel either for a federal agency or for a congressional committee. And I'm particularly interested in public policy because I love reading, writing, speaking, and I want to give all my God-given talents to making this world a better place. And as a civic engaged citizen, I believe that I can be a voice for working class families in America. Particularly thinking that all of us have come from some sort of immigrant or working class background, I want to be that voice and fight for people, and especially because wages have been declining in the past 50 years, I want to fight to protect the right to collective organize and make sure that every U.S. citizen is a member of a union. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark. Mark with a C, by the way. Love it. All right, next we have Alvin Matthew.
All right, Alvin, your question is, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
Thank you. If I could go back and give my younger self some advice, I would tell my younger self to have faith in God and His plan. As cheesy as it sounds, we've all been in a place where we're afraid of the unknown and afraid of the future. Asking, what are we going to study? Who will I become and what will I do? And you know, with these questions, we just start to doubt ourselves. And it prevents us from exploring and trying to push ourselves to reach our full potential. So I would tell myself to have faith in God, that His will be done, and that is what will be best for us. And so, with that knowledge, not only would I give that to my younger self, but I take that right now, and I apply it to my future. Because I know to push myself, and try for more opportunities, and I'm excited for all the things that are yet to come in my life. Thank you.
My man. Thank you, Alvin. Another round of applause, guys. All right, who do we have next in line?
Megan Goodien. Let's get you up on stage, Megan. All right, Megan, your question is, what is something you admire about our parents' generation?
Something that I admire about my parents' generation is their ability to maintain strong family connections, even in the face of adversity. For example, back in India, a lot of us came over here, but back in India we have a lot of family that stay there. And you would think that you might not have that strong of a relationship with them after so many years, but it's almost like nothing's changed and nothing's happened. And I believe that they stay true to their roots and they're so genuine, and I think that our parents' generation, we can learn a lot from them in that aspect. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Megan. All right, up next we have Jenny.
Jenny Matthew, people.
I need more noise, guys. Come on. All right, Jenny. Your question and final question of the night is: what do people assume about you that isn't true?
That's an interesting question. I would say that a lot of people think that I'm a very quiet person, that I'm very passive, or I don't care enough to contribute to conversations. When in reality, I like to think before I speak. As some of you may know, actually, my grandmother passed away 3 weeks ago, and one of the most important life lessons that she always taught me was to always think before you speak, because you can't take back what you said. So I like to actively listen, think, and process before I render my opinions, and I think the world would be a much better place if we all did that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Jenny Matthew. All right, up next we got Priska Abraham from Detroit.
Some noise for Priska. All right, Priska, your question is, what is your favorite Knanaya tradition and why?
Thank you for the question. A tradition that really speaks to me as an Indian American living in the United States is when we do the cheer of the Nada, which reminds me of where I come from and my roots. It's also a reminder that we are a people that cherishes camaraderie with one voice and one vision. And after all, everybody in this audience is my family some way, somehow. And in the end of the day, family is what matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Priska. Thank you so much. All right, up next we got Andrew Abraham. All right.
All right, Andrew, your question is, if you could relive a moment in your life, what part would you choose and why?
Thank you for the question. At first, I was reluctant to share the story. I was afraid to tell my truth, but I was empowered. If I could relive one moment in my life, it would be a moment where I was in the midst of my greatest depression and the lowest of my lows. One morning, I woke up and I got some awful, terrible news, and one would call it the final piece of straw that broke the camel's back. I laid there and I was in despair. I couldn't move. It felt like I couldn't function. So I told myself, Andrew, just get up. You have the day to go to. You have school, and I know mommy is never gonna say you can't go to school, so I gotta go to school. And I got in the shower, and as I did, I guess I used up all the strength and energy in my body. So when I got in there, my head was up against the wall. And I was just sitting there thinking, how am I gonna do this today? In that moment of absolute brokenness and despair, I did the only thing that I knew to do, which was to pray. And I cried out to the Lord. I said, Father, I'm afraid. I'm lost. I feel alone. And in that moment, ladies and gentlemen, if you think a thought right now, if you close your eyes and you start thinking, you know that voice inside of your head. But in this moment, after my prayer, a voice entered my heart, my soul, my body, and it said to me, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and end, the creator of all things. For my son, for if I am with you, what can be against you? And in that moment, y'all, my head jolted up, and I felt something I've never felt before, which is this absolute blissful feeling of content. It felt as though I got a glimpse of heaven and felt his presence. Ladies and gentlemen, what I learned from this is 3 things. It is when we bow our heads and submit ourselves to the Lord that he reveals himself to us. The second thing that I learned, thank you. Thank you. The second thing that I learned is go to God. Don't rely on your own intuition, the way of the world, what your friends think, what your parents think, what you think. Go to God, for He never leads you astray. And last and finally, this is something I struggle with all the time. I want to know where I'm going to be, what I'll be doing, how I'll be doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, the last and final thing that I learned from this experience is let go and give it up to God. Your dreams, your anxieties, all the fears that you might have, anything and everything, give it up to Him and believe. For He is the way maker, the miracle worker, the promise keeper, and light in the darkness. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, another round of applause. Let's go. All right, up next, we have Meryl Zachariah.
Let's hear it for Meryl. All right, Meryl, your question is, what is the most important lesson for us to learn from life?
Well, I'm going to share something that made my life a whole lot better, and it's about mentality. I believe you should accept all bad in life just as much as you accept the good. You got laid off, you have to grieve someone's passing, you got into a car accident on the way somewhere. You have to celebrate those just as much as your other successes, because those are a part of you. Those are a part of who you are. It builds your character. It grows in you. It makes you who you are. So accept all the bad just as much as the good, and your life will get a whole lot better, because I know mine did. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Meryl. Amazing. All right, next we have Gina Kurian.
All right, Gina, my question for you is, if you had a chance to discuss a social issue with world leaders, what social issue would it be?
If I had a chance to discuss a social issue with world leaders, it would be about the education gap that we have here in the United States. So I'm studying to be an elementary school teacher, and so educating and the concept of education has always been super important to me. So when I read articles and hear stories about how big the education gap is in such a developed country like the United States, it always upsets me, because I believe that education can and should be the great equalizer, but in the United States it isn't. I view education as a means of, it doesn't matter that if you come from a poor family or a bad neighborhood, every child should have the opportunity to go to school and make something for themselves. I believe that education opens doors, and I think that the US should focus on fixing the education gap, because by providing every student, the future adults of the world, with access to equal education, we can make America such a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gina. Amazing, amazing. All right, last but not least, we have Alina Joseph.
Let's hear it for Alina. All right, Alina, my question for you is, what is a goal you would like to achieve this year?
Well, I may have many goals, personal, spiritual, and other goals. One of my goals this year is to be a more effective communicator. Communication is something that's so important. Yes, it's not like science. Yes, it's not like math. But without being able to communicate, all those other things run useless. Because you need to be able to communicate and to make decisions and to talk to other people. And communication isn't just about talking. It's not about being the loudest person in the room, but it's also about listening. It's also about hearing other people's perspectives and allowing them to give the room to say what their opinion is. It's about hearing a diversity of perspectives in order to make compromises and
go forth in that sense. So this year, I've been able to delve into that goal by just taking risk and doing things I wouldn't typically do, like this pageant. I'm in an engineering project team at school, and through that, I've had to interview a variety of people. I've had to talk to 6-year-olds and also people with PhDs and an artist who synthetically implanted a third ear on his arm. I don't know either. But it was great to be able to hear of all these different perspectives and learn how to convey my message and tailor it towards them, which is why I think it's so important to be able to communicate effectively in order to come to greater conclusions and a greater consensus. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina Joseph. Ladies and gentlemen, Alina Joseph. All right. Guys, now we're done with the questions. Man, it's almost end of the night, huh? I know you guys want to stay here longer. I don't hear you guys.
You don't want to
What's going on?
Come on, guys. There we go.
All right, hey, for the last time, let's give one round of applause for our participants today. They did an amazing job. Beautiful women, handsome men. It goes both ways, you know. All right, next.
All right. Now I would like to call up Manju Abraham for a vote of thanks. Let's hear it for Manju Chechi, guys.
Manju Chechi, Manju Chechi, Manju Chechi.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. First of all, I would like to congratulate all 10 participants for being a part of this year's pageant. Honestly, I think you all are winners for coming out onto this platform. I would like to take this time to thank our judges, Mr. Emil Peter, Ms. Susan Osip, and Mr. Zach Alias. To my team, Alfred, Arya, Ayana, Christina, Kristen, Minu, and Shilu. You guys are the success behind this year's pageant. To our host and hostess with the mostest, Mevin and Elisa, hugs and kisses. Yeah! I did not realize this, but over the past several months of organizing this year's pageant, this event was always referred to as the main event or main highlight of the convention. Then I got to thinking, what was the main highlight prior to the pageant becoming a permanent part of the NAK convention? The main goal behind introducing the pageant back in 2005 was to create a platform for youth to showcase their talents to the community. Did we not see plenty of talent today? Apart from dancing and singing in our cultural events, young men and women should have the opportunity to show other talents they have. Participating in a pageant is not an easy task. However, it is the perfect platform for our Knanaya youth to share their knowledge, talents, and accomplishments. It is with hope that pageant creates an environment of confidence for our talented young adults to be an inspiration to the rest of our youth. This was the goal of the individual that introduced the pageant to the NAKC Family Convention back in 2005. It is too often good deeds go unnoticed. The pageant committee would like to recognize that good deed with the NAKC Honorary Mr. Knanaya 2022 to Mr. Sibi Mangalatha. We'd like to call upon Mr. Sibi Mangalatha to the stage, please.
Surprise.
No, where's the crown? The crown. For Sibi. I'm going to call you up on stage. At this time, I would like to invite Amu on the stage. Amu is a former Miss Knanaya, and she has the honorary to crown our honorary Mr. Knanaya. Thanks for me.
All right. Thank you, Manju JG. By the way, she's the best. She has done a lot of hard work for this to happen. So let's give one round of applause. Come on, guys. All right. So now it's the moment you guys have been waiting for. I think I won. I'm the best, right?
No. I'm better.
All right. She's better. All right. So who's excited to see our next Mr. and Mrs. Kana?
Come on, you guys are more excited than that. Let's hear it. Who is excited to find out our next Mr. and Miss Kna?
Love it. I love it. Let's go.
All right, now we'd like to invite all of our amazing contestants back on the stage for the official crowning ceremony.
देखो है शाम बड़ी
Let's go.
धीरे धीरे
Hey.
कहानी देखो देखो है शाम बड़ी दीवानी धीरे
All right.
जाए न कोई कहानी दिल पर है दिलकश है दिलदार नजारे हैं ज़मीं पर उतरे कितने सितारे हैं अगलो होश नमी दानम हम हैं दिल है और जानम बस दीवानगी 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 है ना कोई रहसन ना रहबर ये इल्जाम लगे किस पर बस दीवानगी 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 है
All right. Look at you guys. Man, this is the end. I wish you guys were in the stage longer, you know. I want to dance with you guys too, you know, do whatever it is. I love it. You guys all look beautiful, handsome. No response. I like that, but it's okay. There you go. I love it. I love it.
All right, let's give them one more round of applause. Our contestants for the 2022 Mr. and Miss Kna pageant. So now, the moment we've all been waiting for.
All right, so the judges are going to tally up the scores, and we're going to find out who won today. In my heart, you guys all won. All right, just want to let you know. Thank you, guys. Let's give another round of applause. Come on, love it. Let's go.
All right, this piece of paper right here has the answer to all your questions, but we're gonna start off with our runner-up. So, our runner-up for Mr. Kna 2022 is, come on, let's hear it. It is Andrew Abraham.
All right, come on up front, man.
Let's hear it for Andrew. And our runner-up for Miss Knanaya 2022 is... Come on, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Come on, guys. All right, Meryl Zachariah.
Our runner-up, Miss Knanaya 2022. Okay, are y'all ready to hear who our Mr. and Miss Knanaya 2022 is? Yeah!
Are you guys excited?
All right, whose church thinks they're gonna win? I don't know.
Hey, we're all one family. We're all one church. Let's go.
We're all one blood. But our Mr. Knanaya 2022 is Alvin Matthews.
Alvin. Let's go! Alvin Matthew, guys!
All right, and the Miss Knanaya to our Mr. Knanaya is...
Priska Abraham!
Talk about a love story.
Yeah, anybody want to take a social media pictures? Please, this is the time. Awesome. Man, I appreciate each one of you guys for coming out tonight. As we do this, we're going to conclude this. So thank you and have a wonderful, wonderful tonight.
Thank you.